Hello and welcome in to the Retirement Playbook brought to you by Alspaugh Wealth Management. We're here with you every week bringing you new content to help you and understand where you're at, where you're going, and how you can get there. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Tony Shore. Hello, Tony.
Hello, Brock Alspaugh. Brock, I'm so excited to be here. I can barely contain myself today. I'm just all excited. We're back at it this week. We
Boom.
traveled. We got to go to this great financial conference deep in the heart of Texas, Austin. And that was a great event. You and I, we met Jerry Rice. We hung out with Jerry Rice. That was fun.
I wouldn't say we hung out with him, but yes, we did get to hear him.
Okay, I'm stretching it a little bit, but we did get to meet him. And
Mr. Shore here's name dropping. Look who I'm with, that
he
kind
did.
of thing,
He did lean into me and say, "Sorry about your Vikings," and then he smiled and shook my hand for the picture.
He seems like a good dude. Anyway,
yeah, he did, didn't he?
Listen, Austin was awesome. It was
awesome.
It was nice to get away from the 10 degree or below, zero temperatures to get down there. And it was about what, 50, 60, somewhere around in there. So anyway, yeah, it was good. And then great content by Gradient, putting out a lot of new information and technology and those kinds of things. So always good to hit the reboot button. Listen, I'm really excited about today's show. It is 8 signs you're ready to retire. We're going to talk about all 8 of those here in a few minutes. But before we get to that, folks, go to our website. Everybody's getting online, right? Have for years. But this is the best way to get information and to get started, to understand where you're at, where you're going, and how we can help you get there. It's Alspaugh Wealth Management, all spelled out, .com, alspaughwealthmanagement.com. If you're on YouTube right now watching us, it's on the screen there. If not, you're listening to us on your podcast provider. It's, again, alspaughwealthmanagement.com. You can check out past shows. You can order my book. You can do lots of cool things. You can actually, our existing clients use this to log into their portal. So it's a great website, very user-friendly. Please go to our website. Or if you are just sitting around going, I need some help, I need to get a customized plan for me and my family to make sure that we can retire when we want, how we want, on our terms, and have that retirement last the rest of our lives, just give us a call, 573-332-7855, 573-332-7855. All right, Tone, you ready? Oh, can't hear you, bub. Can't hear you. Yep.
You know what? That helps, doesn't it?
He went mute on us, folks.
Yeah, I did. But it is a great topic. I can't wait. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, so here's the deal, Tony. You know this. I know this. A lot of people know this. When you're in your 20s, 30s, right, even 40s, retirement seems like such a far off, destination and thing that you could take care of, later in your life. Even if you're diligently socking money away in that 401k or IRA, you probably don't understand truly, what that means to you in retirement, as far as the income that you would expect from saving this money in retirement to go along with, Social Security or any pensions you might have or other investments outside of your 401k or IRA add up to be. Let's think about it. Right? After all, you're at that age, you're likely more focused on, your marriage or your kids, whatever it may be. Maybe you're buying your first home. And so maybe you're trying to save up to pay cash for a car. Wow, that would be cool. Yeah. And amazing. But once you hit your 50s, Tony, chances are that you daydream now and then about retirement, right? So you're thinking about, man, I'm 52. I got 13 more years till 65. I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to retire. I don't know when I'm going to be able to retire. Maybe you can retire at 60 or 62. It's not 65. Maybe it's 70 because you haven't saved enough money. How do you know? What do you do? Well, here are some things. I'm going to give you 8 signs that you're ready to retire. Okay.
Excellent.
So let's get into that.
Yeah,
and
let's
we're going to
jump in.
Yep. So actually, we're going to reference a little article here, U.S. News and World Report, titled 8 Signs You're Ready to Retire. It has a lot of great information here. Clearly, you don't need your spouse's blessing here to retire, but it's very likely a big mistake to make such a huge fundamental decision, right? I mean, this is you're cutting off the paycheck here from your employer, and you're starting your own paycheck from your savings and from your Social Security. So, what I would say is clear communication and a solid plan with your significant other, understanding where you guys are, and a sign that says, okay, I'm ready to retire. Obviously, you've got to have a financial plan in place, right? So that would be number one. And you've got to have a clear communication process with your partner to understand what you guys are going to do on a day-to-day basis. And maybe your spouse continues to work, or maybe they don't. Maybe you guys retire at the same time. There's just a lot of things that go into retirement. Maybe it's a semi-retirement, Tony, where they're saying, okay, I'm going to work maybe part-time and quit what I'm doing full-time and retire from what you're doing full-time, in other words, and then get a part-time job to supplement your lifestyle. There's just a lot of things to think about here when it comes to this. But one of the signs you may be ready to officially retire is having all or most of your debt paid off too, Tony. That is a huge one, right?
That's a big one, isn't it?
Having debt paid off. Look, you're going to what we consider a fixed income, right? That's what everybody refers to it as, is, now that you're on Social Security, you've got a kind of a steady paycheck from your portfolio coming in. And by the way, I get that question a lot, okay? Which is, okay, Brock, I've got this lump sum of money in my 401k or my IRA. Maybe you got a couple other investment accounts, what have you. But how do I, how much money should I expect to get from those things? And what how does it work? Do I get paid monthly from my investment portfolio, quarterly, annually? And then really the answer is however you want to do it. We can develop a plan to customize it to maybe you have monthly income, and then there's a couple distributions that we make at the end of the year for your taxes and insurance that are due in November and December. But my point is that when you're on a fixed income and you have things like a loan payment that you have to make that just eats out of that retirement lifestyle, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not saying you can't retire, with debt. You can retire with debt as long as you've got enough additional income to not only make that payment, but to maintain your lifestyle. So having debt paid off, that's a good sign that you're ready to retire. It's not that, it's okay, got my debt paid off and now I'm ready to retire. Maybe you're 60 and you don't have any debt. Well, that doesn't mean you're ready to retire. It's just a sign that you can retire. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And, nobody wants to head into retirement with 2 or 3 credit cards worth of debt and that high interest. The fewer financial liabilities that you bring in to retirement with you, the better, right?
Absolutely.
Because liabilities and debt add stress.
It does. And I've always had, and I haven't talked about this in a long time, actually, Tony, 2 keys to financial and really happiness in your life, right? This kind of goes beyond financial discussions, but 2 keys, right? Is simplicity is one. Keep your life simple. The more complicated you make it, the more things you buy and have to maintain and, take care of and account for. It adds complexities to life, which then adds stress for a lot of people. Now, some people, it's not stressful. That's something they just love to do, and great. So this isn't for everybody. But for me and a lot of other people that I know, keeping things simple is a very good thing for them, not only financially, but just in general in your life, right? To keep your stress level as low as possible. So keeping things simple. And number 2, organization, right? Get a little organization to your life. It just, we have conversations about, kids and discipline and, and organization and the kids that have those 2 things are really the kids and the athletes, for example, that really make it to the next level, right? Because those are the kids that understand that keeping my life organized helps me in my discipline and whatever I'm trying to achieve, whether that's financial independence, whether that's getting a college scholarship for athletics, it doesn't matter what it is. It applies all aspects of life. So What I would suggest is that when it comes to simplicity and organization, what does that mean in your financial life? Having a budget. I know we don't like to use the B word a whole lot, folks, in our society, but a comprehensive budget, man, can keep your life organized, and it can make you or help you make decisions to keep your life simple. Let me give you an example. An example of that would be is that if I have a budget that allows me to do certain things, but then I'm kind of maxed out on maybe not buying a boat or whatever, another vacation home or whatever it may be. That kind of it violates the rule of simplicity.
Right, but Brock, do you really need a 5th vacation home? I mean, that's what people are asking.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah. No, we do not have one.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I'm teasing you.
No, I know. Listen, if you weren't teasing me, Tony, I would think something was really wrong.
Right.
Okay, so that was a sign. Another sign that you're ready to retire is that you have a budget, right? And you're making sure that, for example, in retirement, one of those things we're going to budget for is definitely healthcare, right? And so making sure that you have the right plan when it comes to Medicare, making sure you have your long-term care plan taken care of and in place by the time you retire, folks. That's a big one. And that's part of that budget, because if let's say you buy traditional long-term care insurance, for example, that's a budget item that you have to account for. And that's to protect the rest of your nest egg. So it's a must. You got to have some type of long-term care plan. I'm not saying you got to buy insurance. I'm just saying you got to have a plan to pay for that. Okay. And one way to do that is using leverage. And that would be, typically through an insurance policy. Okay.
Yeah. Planning for healthcare. If you have your healthcare plan in place and know how you're going to cover it and you're working with a financial professional, that is a sign you're ready to retire. But if you don't have that planned out, and healthcare in retirement is expensive, even with Medicare, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when you have Medicare, right, it's you've got this $175, some round numbers here, $175, $180 going out for Part B. You've got another $150 going out for a supplement. You've got another $50 going out for a prescription plan. You add all those things up, and then you times it by, multiply it by 2 for your spouse. It's a pretty significant number. I mean, $700-$800 a month. Now, the great thing about that, though, Tony, is that you don't have deductibles, right? If they are, they're minimal compared to when you were working and had $5,000 deductible. So, that it's kind of half a dozen sometimes when it comes to that. And sure, for a lot of people, it is still cheaper than when they were working, but maybe not for some folks.
Yeah.
All right. So, we've covered get on the same page with your significant other, your spouse. Yep. Right, paying off your debt, making sure you're as much as debt free as possible when you're, that's a sure sign you're ready to retire, and then building a comprehensive budget. Okay, what we want to then get into the next one is that having reliable sources of retirement income. Okay, so this kind of gets into maybe your portfolio construction, whether it's maybe you've got some rental properties, or maybe you've got some farm income, or maybe you've got, investment income that's more, consistent and maybe guaranteed, that you can set up for yourself and your spouse. So, making sure that you have reliable sources of income. Now, I think some people, Tony, would argue is Social Security reliable?
Well, once you're receiving it, it is. You're pretty locked in.
I agree with you. But some people, anyway, so yeah, making sure that the sources of income. So one of the biggest mistakes we see is that, okay, I've got $1 million, and good for you. That's okay. But you're taking out $80,000, $100,000 of that portfolio to maintain your lifestyle. Folks, that's not a reliable income source. Okay. So you have got to understand your withdrawal and your withdrawal amounts and how that's going to affect the rest of your life. You don't want to be at 70 years old, which, by the way, a lot of people are still doing a lot of things at age 70 and 75 even, right? You're playing pickleball, they're traveling, all, being very active at 70, 75. That's not uncommon. Well, all that stuff costs money, Tony, right? So we've got to have a strategy that pays for this lifestyle for the rest of your life, not just the first 10 years. Now, will you typically spend a little bit more in the first 10 years of retirement? Yes, you will. We can develop a strategy to help you do that. But we don't want to do that at the cost of running out of money, at some point during your retirement. That would not be a good solution or not be a good ending point here. So having reliable retirement income sources is very, very important to make sure you have that consistent income via the pension, Social Security, annuities, withdrawals from your retirement savings, tools, whatever it is, part-time job. Maybe it's a business that you own. Whatever it is, make sure it's reliable. Okay? All right, Tony, you ready for the next one?
I am so ready. I hope it's something about pizza. Oh, wait, no. Signs you're ready or not ready for retirement.
I tell you what, I was just thinking about that. I haven't had pizza in a while, Tony. You and I love pizza. We talk about it all the time. In fact, I was telling you a couple months ago, we started making our own pizzas at home, and I haven't made one at home in several months. So thank you for reminding me. I'm going to go to the grocery store and get some of that flour that's so good from Italy, right? The good stuff.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff. I forgot what it's called. Anyway, that's good for pizzas.
Yes.
All right. So the next sign that you're ready to retire is that you have make sure as certain as possible. And really, this one has to do with the last one when it comes to making sure you have reliable income sources. But you also, at the same time frame, you want to make sure that you can withstand normal market downturns, okay? And that, again, kind of goes hand in hand with making sure you have reliable income sources. So not only your investments providing reliable income sources, but those income sources are not going to be subject to big normal, market downturns that, look, markets are going to correct. Markets are going to have recessions, right? So correction being 5 to 10, recessions being, actually the recession having to do more with GDP and 2 quarters of down GDP. But my point is that the bigger downturns, right? So 2022, it went down, S&P 500 is down 20%. Okay, that's a big market downturn. So can your portfolio not only create reliable income, but can it withstand some of these normal bigger market downturns? Okay. And, this is actually a very timely topic, Tony, because we've had 2 years now of significant market gains.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to not be greedy and to take some money off the table and to reposition your assets? And that's a normal thing. You should do that, right? You should rebalance your portfolio to make sure that, and I'm not calling for the market to be a big downturn, but it's going to happen. Markets go up and they go down. So making sure that you have the right strategy right now to do that. And I know people are a lot of people are excited about Trump, and the economy is actually pretty good, and it is. Okay. But that doesn't mean that the market is always going to go up. So just make sure that you're rebalancing your portfolio to make sure you're not too aggressive, especially when you're in retirement, because that's a different ballgame, folks. When you're taking money out versus when you weren't taking money out, market goes down. Who cares? It's going to come back, and you're going to be putting money in and all that stuff. But when you're in the distribution phase of your life, wow, is it a different ballgame? So you got to make sure you can withstand those normal market downturns. Okay. All right, Tony Tone. The next sign you're ready to retire is having a plan for your health care. We touched on that.
Yes, we did.
But you have a lot of people have questions when it comes to employer spousal. If your spouse is going to continue to work, for example, do you go on their plan or do you go on Medicare? A lot of times, these employer plans have exceptions for, people that are eligible for Medicare. If you're eligible for Medicare, you have to go on their plan or not go on their plan. I mean, there's so many stipulations and every plan is different. It's kind of like 401ks. We've talked about this a lot too. 401ks are guided by their summary plan description, right? So in other words, their plan document rules the ins and outs of that plan. Now they have to abide by the general rules of ERISA and the IRS, but there are lots of different stipulations that they can control that, you may not have a normal 401k when it comes to these different aspects. So same thing with your healthcare. You got to make sure you understand what is going to be your healthcare strategy when you retire, if your spouse is going to continue to work or not. You got to make sure you have the right healthcare strategy.
And there are a lot of moving parts to
My gosh.
really be ready to retire. So I'm glad we're going over these. But for our listeners who have questions, I know when we're done here, we're going to let them know how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's on the screen if you're watching us. Thank you for doing that, YouTube. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, please go subscribe to our channel, Alspaugh Wealth Management. Just search Alspaugh Wealth Management in YouTube, and you'll see us. Subscribe to our channel, and you can watch past shows. You can do all the things. All right. So alspaughwealthmanagement.com too is our website. Phone number is 573-332-7855. All right, Tony. So two more we got to get to real quick here is one is taxes. Making sure that your income plan is accounting for taxes. That's a big one. All right. And so understanding, how much net income you're going to have to maintain your lifestyle. So, for example, if we say you should abide by the 4% rule, the 4% rule says you should not take more than 4% of your portfolio balance to make sure you don't run out of money. Okay. So let's take an example. We got $1 million, 4% rule, $40,000. So you have $40,000 to go spend. And no, you don't, right? Because you have to pay taxes on that money.
Yeah, Uncle Sam. It's a joint account with Uncle Sam.
So based on, whatever tax rate you're in, based on your other income, based on what your spouse is, doing from an income perspective, you might owe, say, 10 or 15 or 20 or even more percent on that withdrawal. So, 20%, now you have 32,000. Now we have state taxes. Now we're down to 30,000. So, and again, these are just hypothetical numbers, but a $40,000 withdrawal is not $40,000 in your pocket, folks. You're going to have to account for taxes. Inflation is another big one. Things are, as we know and have experienced in the last few years, inflation can really eat at your buying power when it comes to your retirement income. So making sure that you're accounting for that. Now, I'm going to wrap up with this one, Tony. Understanding, what you want to do in retirement is such a huge, all these things are important. And all of these signs are sure signs that you're ready to retire, not only financially, but we need to make sure you have a plan as to what's going to make you feel fulfilled and satisfied. So what are your projects that you want to do, your hobbies? What are your passions? What do you want to do in retirement? Because you don't want to just say, okay, I'm done hitting the time clock at work and I'm going to go home and just sit around and then I'll just figure out some things that I want to do. Don't do that. Get a plan as to what you want to do.
You have to have a purpose.
You got to have a purpose.
Yeah. Or your health will decline rapidly, your mental and physical health. You have to have things to do. My grandfather was active right up until 101 when he passed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was active, did things. And that was his secret, he said. They said, how did you do it? And he said, you don't stop. You got to keep going. You got to keep doing things. Right?
Absolutely. One of the things that just drives me every day to come to the office and with energy and with passion is to help people. And when we get to help ring that retirement bell, it is the most awesome feeling to know that I had a part in that for those folks and the joy that they have. But you've got to be ready. You've got to abide by these signs and understand, are you ready to retire? Hopefully information has helped you here today. We are here at Alspaugh Wealth Management to help you too. So give us a call, 573-332-7855. Or again, look us up on the web at alspaughwealthmanagement.com.
All right. Thank you, Brock. And that does it for today's episode of the Retirement Playbook with our host, Brock Alspaugh.